keeping that on that for a reason?
Just testing.
I hit the wrong button, sorry. I'd like to call the meeting to order and do the roll call, please.
Commissioner Emerson,
Present.
Commissioner Momsen,
Here.
Commissioner Kershner is absent this evening, Commissioner Schlelein,
Here.
Commissioner Smull,
Here.
Commissioner Van Wagner doesn't seem to be here yet, Commissioner Alioto,
Here.
Commissioner Knudsen,
Here.
and Commissioner Hagstrom is running a bit late. Thank you.
Also, we need to look at the agenda and call for any changes. Do any of the commissioners have suggestions for changes for the agenda? Steve is here. Call for public comment. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
Point of order. Are we accepting the agenda or accepting minutes to previous meeting?
We're at the beginning, right under roll call, approval of agenda.
Okay, thank you.
So he seconded, Ryan seconded.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Who made the motion?
I don't know. I didn't hear a motion.
I don't think a motion was made.
Could someone make the motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
I second that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, do we vote?
We do a roll
Okay.
call, correct. Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kershner is not here. Commissioner Momsen,
Yes.
Commissioner Schlelein,
Yes.
Commissioner Smull,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Alioto,
Yes.
Commissioner Knudsen,
Here.
and Chair Hagstrom.
Here.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Okay. Switch seats.
Okay. You don't want my purse.
Okay. So, excuse my tardiness. We can move on to announcing the agenda items.
Chair Hagstrom, we need to go through comments from the public.
We have not.
We have not done that yet.
Okay. Then we will start there. Do we have any comments from the public? Any comments online? Okay. Then we'll jump to the agenda. Let me check something here first. Can I see what you've got?
Point of order.
Is
Is this meeting being taped or
Always.
people can write in for questions or anything? So someone's checking to see if there are any questions or anything or comments?
We don't do written comments any longer
Okay.
during the meeting. Zoom is open. People can Zoom into the meeting.
Okay, and you're monitoring that? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so the regular calendar is to receive the minutes from the meeting. Had we done that? I'm sorry. Okay. So we're receiving the minutes from the meeting of April 25th and May 9th. So, are we received? Yes, Connie.
I move to accept those both. Do we have to do them separately?
No, you can do them together, but first you need to ask if there's any comments from the commission or any questions, and then go to public comment if not.
Okay. So with regards to the minutes as described, are there any comments from the commission? Are there any comments from the public? Okay. So we've received the minutes. Moving on to item 2.2.
Now you need the motion, Chair
Oh.
Hagstrom.
I'm sorry.
I move to accept both months' minutes.
Second,
Okay.
Would you like me to do a roll call?
Okay. Would you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Emerson?
accept.
Commissioner Momsen?
Accept.
Commissioner Schlelein?
Accept.
Commissioner Smull?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner?
Accept.
Commissioner Knudsen?
Accept.
And Chair Hagstrom.
Accept.
Thank you.
Okay. So then moving on to item 2.2, discussion regarding Treasure Artist Program and the 2024 timeline. City Clerk?
Thank you. So this evening is I wanted to bring this forward because in the fall, your next meeting in November will be the actually looking at who the treasure artist will be if you follow the timeline that we have now. For those of you that don't know, the treasure artist was first given in 1983. There's not really any record of why or exactly how it started, but what we've put together is that this was through, it kind of evolved. The criteria for the award is that it's selected and recognized for outstanding achievements in a chosen artistic medium, including the performing, visual, theatrical, literary, and craft arts. Over the years, they fine-tuned the criteria wording, and in 2019, the commission took action that the nominee must be an established artist located within the Sonoma Valley who demonstrates creative contribution to the community. So according to the timeline as it is now, the call for nominations goes out in early October. And that being said, we thought this would be a good idea for the commission to look at the policy and see if you guys want to continue in that vein or if you want to make changes as we move forward. Because the call for nominations will need to go out depending unless you change the cycle of the selection. So with that, I don't know how you want to proceed, if you want to go through the policy or if anybody has any suggestions, ask any questions, I'll take those.
Okay, thank you. Connie?
So do we want to talk about timeline first? Would that be, because it sounds like that was open. It seems like it fits well with our November meeting.
When is the November meeting? Can you just confirm?
Calendar?
It's November the 9th.
So is that conceivable that we would, once we finish our discussion here, make a call for nominations in early October and then review it on October 9th, or November 9th.
You would, and I actually made a suggestion in, and I'm sorry, I should have said this, in the policy that I put in, I actually changed that to early September for call of nominations so that you'll have plenty of time for individuals to submit their nominations and for each of you to, for people to do that submittal and then be able to consider them on the November 9th meeting.
Okay. So could we open up that discussion? Yes, Connie.
I think that's a great idea because last year it seems like we went into an extension because we weren't ready. Was it 2 years ago or last year?
It was last year. We actually opened it up, but when we talked with the chair, she didn't feel that we had enough nominations, and so we extended it. And then when we talked about it at the meeting, it was decided to extend it again because of the time period most people are out for the holidays, and so we extended it into January.
I have a couple of questions. Since I'm new to this and with the treasure artist, if you could review the policy of the applications with me, and also where do you advertise the call, and then what is the average amount of applicants we're looking at scoring before November 9th? And is it a review, or do we do like a selection panel jury type with the commission?
So each year, the call for nominations goes out, and when we say that, it's posted in the Sonoma Index Tribune. It is sent out to the different art groups. It goes through the city social media. We ask the commissioners to share it on their social media. The Index Tribune usually does an article based on the press release that's sent out. And then the nominations are not submitted to the commission because of the Brown Act until the meeting. So it becomes, you guys are given those as part of the meeting packet, and that'll be prior to, more than just the day before.
And then what is the amount of applicants? That
It varies.
normally-
It
okay.
really varies. It depends. When Pat Meyer Johnson was named the treasure artist, there were, I want to say, probably 8 or maybe 7 or 8 individuals, but on hers, she only had one nomination, but it was signed off by over 30 people, which that can, there is a way, we ask that they submit a letter. There's not an application that they fill out. They just have to submit a letter and explaining why. And usually they, a lot of times, will submit, like if it's like Pat, I'm going to use Pat again. We had people use pictures of her work. We've had individuals that were writers where they submitted selections. So it really just depends on the year.
And if I could add to the policy, I'm sorry, did you have your hand up? So it's very objective to submit an inquiry or notification to Sonoma Index, Tribune, and social media. But one thing I think we could do better is to solicit from our own, say, circles, because we are all tied in with the arts in some way or another. And I think we ought to have something more than, oh, you should submit your application, or you should nominate X. I think we all could maybe do a better job at getting a larger pool, attracting a larger pool. And that's just a comment I'd like to throw out there, that the city does a lot with what they do with social media and through the newspaper, but we could all do a little bit too. So.
Creative Sonoma also has a great free platform, just to make sure we post it on there.
And if I could interrupt again, is there a press release that could be shared with the commission that we could use to facilitate that sort of grassroots action?
Most definitely.
Okay. So, Connie?
I also think we could reach out to all kinds of organizations formally and let them know, just like you're saying, maybe prepare something. So, Sonoma Arts Live or all kinds of people probably would love to see someone from their organizations. So, so that's a really great idea. I also have some concerns from the last time that, or the last three, really, where we picked the treasure artist. It's very difficult to pick a treasure artist if, for instance, a visual artist, if you don't see their work. We've tightened up our student policies, and I think that they're getting better and better. Not that this is the same, but there were several submitted that, visual artists that I had no clue what their work looked like.
And we can definitely encourage individuals. We have to remember this is not an application. It's not a, we're going to look at the, and have everyone, so, because at one time there was a request that we have them submit the person submit a body of their work and an essay, and it was a reminder that this is not I'm nominating or applying for this. This is an award. It's a nomination. We definitely can look at the press release and encourage individuals that are, if you are going to submit a visual or digital, that, please be sure to submit examples of that individual's work. And staff can be more proactive as well, and maybe we can fill out a form where they can submit it, kind of like we do with the student artist, rather than submit an email, and we can go onto a form online, and then we can ask and make notes. I mean, they could still submit via email if they want, but that way it would give them the opportunity. With the student artist, they're able to attach movies, or they're able to attach actual links to their work. So there's no reason that the individual who's nominating that person couldn't do the same thing, if that would be something the commission would like us to pursue.
And to tie in with the student award, we've spent a lot of time building out the rubrics, which is a criteria in which we judge that body of work, whether it's video or dance or art, fine art. But we haven't really created one for treasure artist. And I think because each of the applicants or the nominees in the past have this huge body of work, their body of work speaks for itself. It's hard to pigeonhole that into a 1 to 5 scoring matrix. So I don't know if we need to rebuild and rethink how we select our nominees, but recognize that we're looking at a 30-year contribution, and that's just something that we'll have to use our best judgment rather than checking boxes. So I sort of like the organic approach. It seems to have worked in the past. I think that, again, our improvement might be in outreach.
I think also describing, our description of what we're looking for, just we can suggest that the nominator include something that would assist us. This isn't, like you said, a scholarship competition, or they aren't vying for, an art exhibition on the plaza. They're actually, they often, most of the time, don't even know they're nominated. So what worked well with Pat was that her friends and supporters knew enough to send that. I think it just advantages the commission to encourage people. It's not required, but encourage them to submit something that might show what they do. I mean, a lot of us know these people, but there are people we all don't know.
Are there any other commissioners that would like to chime in about the policy or the process of going about either attracting nominees or responding to the nominations that we receive? You want to share your feelings?
I think I recall you saying like you want like not a large portion, but you want like a lot of people from like different backgrounds, whether it's like just acting in the fine arts. What about we open this like just, I mean, I don't know if it's to the whole valley or just the city, But is it a possibility that we could open up to the whole valley to get people's like differences? Like, because there could be artworks, you know, that just say people, I think Bodega Bay is on this county, correct? But like, just say they could have inspirations from, you know, the ocean or, you know, the bay, but they can also have inspirations from, you know, the wine country or all of that. It would bring a lot of diversity if we do include the whole
Well,
entire county.
part of the title of is the Sonoma treasure artist. So we're limited in scope to how far we can travel from the heart of Sonoma, and that is characterized by the Sonoma Valley.
There
Period.
actually is a definition that the council uses when we refer to Sonoma Valley. They do this with the commissions. They do this with some of the different, where we have boundaries. Sonoma Valley refers to the Sonoma Valley School District. If you're in the Sonoma Valley School District, you would be considered in Sonoma Valley for the purposes.
So that would go up all the way to like Windsor and Santa Rosa. No, okay. Oh.
Sonoma Valley.
It's Sonoma Valley. I think it turns off it doesn't go to Kenwood. It's like Glen Ellen. It's not that far out. It includes Boyce. Yeah. So it's all that area there, but it doesn't go out to Kenwood. I think Kenwood's out of it, but it goes a little bit further out than just the city.
In 2019, we defined it as Sonoma Valley with the Sonoma Valley Unified as the boundaries. This commission did that because it was a little confusing. So we certainly need to say Sonoma Valley as much as we can.
And I think with Kenwood, they have their own school district.
Kenwood's not part of what's considered neither Santa Rosa. They're Santa Rosa School District. There's a map that we can provide
Okay.
if the commission's interested. There are definite lines.
Mario, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, Connie?
Just one last comment. It seems a little clunky the way we have it written. Chosen artistic medium, including the performing, visual, theatrical, literary, and crafts arts. That it's, you know, performing arts is theatrical. Music isn't mentioned, but it's a performing art. It seems like we could do just a little better at defining those. Crafts arts is pretty clunky. Usually you say fine crafts if you're honoring quality makers. So I just think we might want to work a little on the wording, and I don't know that we need to do it tonight. Maybe we could subcommittee that.
I was just going to make that suggestion. You could have an ad hoc committee to work on some of the language, because again, this is language that has come forward since like the beginning, but it was put together before my time from press releases, and I just tried to make it as streamlined as I could, but I couldn't change, except for I did change September from October, and I was hoping you guys would approve on that. But that would be I think that's a great idea, is to do an ad hoc committee, and unfortunately, it would have to be pretty quick work, because it has to, if we're going to go out the middle of September. So if the commission wanted to, you could do a couple of different things. You could give direction on do an ad hoc committee, give direction to that ad hoc committee, and let them go with do the language and submit it that way. Or we could hold a special meeting early September for the commission to review that.
And if I could ask, so that is the language that we're reading here in the agenda item summary. Is this the same language that's used in the press release?
It is.
Okay.
Question about the timeline. So we call in mid to early September, and then we don't see any of them until when we meet on November 9th, and then we go through them together. Okay.
It's a little different than the student artist, but it's part of the agenda packet.
Okay. Well, so we could make a motion to create an ad hoc committee to ask if anyone is interested in reviewing and revising the press release and associated documents. And let's, before we go to vote, does anyone have any comments about the concept we're talking about, that we would revise some of the language to update it to 2023 language?
Could I ask that rather than having the ad hoc write the press release, because we do have a public information officer that does that, is that update the language for the policy and procedures, and that's what the press release would be drafted upon.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if we're all clear, we're talking about the Cultural Fine Arts Commission policy and procedures. Those, that language seems a bit dated. We're discussing creating an ad hoc committee to review and revise. And before we take it to vote, does anyone have any questions or comments about this document or this concept of making some changes? Any comments from the city or our public?
No, I think that it would be that change the language, but also this would be a great time if the commissioners have any other things that they would like to see changed in the policy and procedures, that we could incorporate it as well, since you're going to have an ad hoc. But again, if you want to create it so that it's just the language, and then let the group work and the press release go out without coming back for a special meeting, then you might want to keep it that way. And then after this round, look at this at an earlier meeting at the beginning of the year and do more work on the full program.
So we've already discussed the concept of rubrics, and we're not going to define that. So mostly we're just looking at the policy and procedures, and then the press release would be redrafted based on some new language that we would include. Does anyone have any comments about this idea? Connie?
I think we're looking at a couple sentences, and I don't think it's a really huge deal. I just think we can make this a little smoother and cleaner, and encourage people thinking about things. We want more applicants, and we want people to feel welcome. So, with that spirit, I don't think we have to be draconian about this, and it doesn't have to be many changes. It just streamline it.
Good. Is there a minimum maximum to the ad hoc committee in number?
Yeah, you can only have 3.
Okay, thank you. So,
And that doesn't mean you have to have 3. It may
Right.
not require a committee of 3. So.
okay,
Like a committee of Connie would be.
yeah. What? I think a committee of 1, okay. Does anyone have any other comments or questions about this process of creating an ad hoc committee before we put it to a vote?
And if it is just one individual that's going to draft the language, you don't need to do an ad hoc committee. You can just ask that person to do it.
I'd be happy to help too, Connie, work on it.
Okay,
Then
so do we need a vote to add an ad hoc committee to this? So I make a movement to create an ad hoc committee that would revise and review and revise the policy and procedures of the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission document for the Treasure Artist of the Year.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you. We need a roll call vote on that?
We need a second.
Oh.
you might want to include who's going to be on the ad hoc committee.
Okay, and so at this point, unless there are any other, let's just maybe have a show of hands. We have sorry, Meredith. And Connie, is there anyone else that would like to be a part of this discussion?
If you need an interested eyeballs.
And Ryan. So it's been established, we have 3 people that would like to be a part of this ad hoc committee. We have Meredith Knudsen, Connie Schlelein, and Ryan Smull. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Do we need a vote on that? Can we do a roll?
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen,
Yes.
Commissioner Schlelein,
Yes.
Commissioner Smull,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Knudsen,
Yes.
Chair Hagstrom.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 701.
Okay. Okay, so that really concludes item 2.2, the discussion regarding the Treasure Artist program and the timeline. It has been decided that we'll have an ad hoc committee that will review the language of the documents, and a new press release will be generated based on some changes that will be made. So we'll jump to item 2.3. It's update from Revolving Temporary Art Ad Hoc Committee. So that is a discussion about the art that we see here in chamber. So do we have any city comments first?
Just that, just since this is the first ad hoc committee report or update that you've had on your council or your commission agenda, the way these kind of work is the person who, one of the individuals from the subcommittee, if there's anything to report, then at this time that individual or the committee would give a report on what they've been doing, where they're at. And then if for some reason someone isn't here or isn't able to do a report, staff's prepared to do that.
Okay. So maybe by a show of hands, who is on this ad hoc committee regarding the art here in Chambers? So we have Connie, and sorry, Morgan, I have that. And wasn't there a third? Oh, Mario, sorry.
So we have a report. First, Morgan will start.
It was our first ever artist reception in the Chambers. It was a massive success. It happened on July 28th from 4 to 5:30. We brought food and drink. Well, Rebekah did. And about at least 50 people came very enthusiastically to support the artists. Julie Trespin, Alicia Bulow, Catherine Albright, and Tricia Rissman. The mayor came, 2 city council members attended, and the city manager attended. Very positive energy. It's like very good vibes. Just everyone had a great time, and I think I left at 5:30 and the room was packed, so they probably had to kick people out. They loved being here talking about art, and it was a great success. We're gonna, I think, try to do it every show.
And thank you to Rebekah for all your help with that. It was a massive success for our first one.
Yes, Deb?
Could you discuss a little bit about how the artists were discovered or selected, and how the pieces were selected that are, and are these all the pieces that have been selected?
Morgan, you wanna?
So we started in June, which is Pride Month. So we chose artists that would represent Pride Month, all queer artists, and Connie can maybe talk more about that.
Gary Saperstein, who really helped set up the Pride celebrations, brought us the idea, and we loved it. And so they were, they came in and set up with the city crew. It took a lot of time with city crew. They did a great job of setting it up, and they were only going to be here a month, and then I think they kind of liked it and asked for the rest of the summer, which, we're kind of shorthanded in terms of being able to get people to help when they're on vacation, so quarterly seemed pretty manageable. We started to look at capacity for the commission. We have a lot of other things going on, and also the installation crew and Rebekah's time. And so we started to talk about perhaps maybe a quarterly show instead of every month, which was a little unrealistic, but fun. So that's one of the things. Anything else, Morgan? Is that so? Then that brings us to the next show, and we had as a group met a while ago and kind of brainstormed some ideas and so we calendared them and started to talk about what we could do, because we don't want to select just one artist or we want to be inclusive. So we started to think about the shows and what we could do. And this was our early calendar before we got the idea of quarterly. But I don't think I have one for you, Rebekah. I'll give you mine when I'm done. Sorry. But the next one was possibly doing Earth Day photos. And there's been 2 years of the city running a contest. And Sarah's done a great job with publicizing that and getting that going. And we talked about the possibility of printing those photos and having those in the chamber. So since we already have rights to those actual photographs, they're not in print form, but could be. So it'd take a little bit of work to pull this off by September. They might stay a little longer, but it's something we'd love to get your input on.
Are the pieces that are displayed for sale?
So you cannot monetize the council chambers. They all actually, we removed all the price tags from them and explained the situation to the artists. Every artist has contact information. And if they would like to contact the artist, they're welcome to do that, but we do not sell and cannot sell out of the council chambers.
And the boundaries we'd set are in the spreadsheet on the top right corner. There's details that we all agreed upon, matted but frames optional. We couldn't do three-dimensional art because it interferes with chamber business. They must sign a waiver of damages form. Contact information, it will be up there if someone wants to contact the artist. Titles of the artwork are provided and a one sheet is displayed, and the artwork is hung by city staff, and the artist must assist.
And did the city staff perform their job well? It looks like. Is that an issue, using city staff time for this project?
It's not an issue as far as anything wrong with it, if that's what you're asking.
Just
or
the
if
cost.
It's the cost of the staff time to do it monthly. It's also their schedules. We're very lean in our staffing, and it takes a full afternoon, 2 guys, a full afternoon plus myself. So taking that much time away from streets, and it just is not really feasible to do it monthly, because it's twice. It actually ends up being twice to take them down, because it's not so far. I don't think we've managed to get it where we're taking them down and putting them up at the same time. So it's 2 times a month.
Okay. And the attachment method of the wall is just a nail? Okay.
I think quarterly sounds like it would be a lot more reasonable. Also, it allows you to do some more outreach between, and you're not, stressed for time. I'd love to make sure that we have diversity in here and different people represented, and so that our outreach isn't just to who we know, but it's allowing other people to come to us or know about it as well, so that they have an opportunity for this.
And one thing with that, just to keep in mind, ad hoc committees are for a sole purpose. It's to complete a project and then it's over. So with the revolving, these two art ad hoc committees will not just keep going to do all these different things. So as we get closer, I would suggest that you look at it, talk to a year's worth of artists or however you want to do that, because it's going to have to come back where it's a commission decision. Once, and part of the charge for the ad hoc committee was to put together what that policy looks like, and so that it not necessarily the commission doing that work, but the staff brings in and contacts the artists and arranges for that.
And in addition, this was our mayor's idea. And so she's, I don't know when her term ends, but this is her idea, and the commission probably will need to decide if it continues on after the Year of the Arts. So I think that it is bookended. The challenge is the same as the treasure artist outreach, and also certainly not being exclusive, but being inclusive to all types of people. But we've got some timeline crunches. We already are up on a September show that we don't have any pieces for. And then we need to have something after that as well. So we need to have a good concept, and we need to do some outreach so that it isn't picking favorites.
But I think what you were saying is that eventually the ad hoc committee would be dissolved and written policies and procedures would be created to supersede.
Well, that was part of the charge of the ad hoc committee, was to form what that program looked like and put those pieces in place. What happens with an ad hoc committee is if it stays, say we kept this ad hoc committee through, next year, well, they're going to just do this from now on. Well, now it becomes a Brown Act committee, and we have to have an open, published meeting. And that's what we want to avoid, because as we know, it makes it very difficult for especially this commission with some of the things that you're charged with to actually do the actions that you need to do in this setting, rather than, at the treasure artist event, that type of thing.
And is there a timeline when we have enough body of knowledge to then dissolve the ad hoc? Is it considered 1 year we should have that done, or?
It really depends. 12 to 18 months is typically when you want to review that, if it's still needed. If it is, then you put a sunshine date on it.
Okay.
But 12 months, 12 to 18 is pushing it.
Okay. So we'll keep it off the agenda for future meetings for a while. Sunshine date to be discussed, to be advised. Okay. Mario, you were part of this ad hoc committee. Do you have anything to add to?
I have nothing really to add. It just, I think if the ad hoc committee wants to, meet again, we could probably, because I heard a lot about quarterly, if we split up into 4 different sections, each of the 3-month periods could be a different, frame. I'm looking at the calendar right now. From June to August, it's Pride Month. Then September says Earth Day photos or Hispanic history. I believe, in my opinion, am I allowed to state okay?
Of course.
September through November should, in my opinion, be Hispanic history, right after Pride Month. Then December, January, February, should probably be Black history, or even going into March or January, February, March should be Black history. We could decide on that maybe a bit later. Then Earth Day probably takes a month, so the youth artists could come in April and May.
Mm-hmm.
So have that quarterly section, and maybe the Earth Day could also be side by side with the youth arts.
So you're talking about a reoccurring theme.
Yes.
Okay. Any ideas on that?
Just something to be careful of for the student art. It's not always going to be necessarily something that can be displayed in here, because they can put sculpture, music, performance, and that wouldn't be able to be in the chambers.
And I think we have to be flexible that we don't demand that a certain month be specific to a cause or an activity, because it may be that something else comes along that we may decide to select that artist just by, a traveling show comes through. Connie?
We talked about doing the same as we do with treasure artists and do an outreach and ask for people to submit, or like we did with Earth Day. It does get to be fairly involved for a commission that doesn't have much capacity for work. And so it's one reason we kind of kicked around the theme ideas to keep away from individual artists. We have a lot of areas of town that are known for art, the Arts Guild, a lot of, Art Escape, a lot of organizations that create bodies of work that could easily come in here and do that. But then you're worried about equal time and not playing favorites. And so it is a little tricky politically. And if you're going to do themes, it's going to take some good legwork to get the word out, to get people to do it, to submit. If there are no prizes or they can't sell, the incentive becomes a little bit of a challenge, because these people can't sell in here, and their work isn't easily accessible. It's through their generosity that they're putting it here.
So, Chair Hagstrom, we're getting to kind of wanting to take action, setting policies. That's not really the way this is agendized tonight. It's more
Okay.
just an update to the commission of what the work that the ad hoc has done. So if that's something that the commission wants to look at, obviously sounds like it for future meeting, we can agendize it for possibly the November meeting. If you want to discuss that for 2024, we can agendize it so that can be done. Maybe the ad hoc committee will have some things to bring forward at that time.
And I think with the next art show, more body of evidence will be created to further the discussion. So I think we can just shelve the conversation today until there's more information after the next exhibit. Okay, I'm good with that. Does anyone else have any other comments about the temporary ad hoc committee, or any committee ad hoc members want to say a final thing? Okay. Then we'll close that item.
You do need to ask, even though there's no one in the chambers, we do need to ask if there's any public comment.
Sorry. Are there any public comments regarding the ad hoc committee regarding the Revolving Temporary Art Show? No? Any
Thank you.
city, any Zoom? Okay. Thank you. So we'll move on to the item 2.4, update from the Vintage Festival Poster Contest Ad Hoc Committee. And so I'll start by saying that there are ad hoc committee members here, and just by a raise of hand, and let's see who here is on that committee. So we have Mario, myself, and Ryan. And yeah, Lauren Kershner is not present. So I'd like to drop it over to Ryan, since he was involved with a lot of the details, to maybe give us a quick review of what you learned during that process.
Sure.
Commissioner Smull, if I may, just a reminder that we don't want to mention any particular names, anything like that at this point.
Yeah, no, understood. Well, for first comment is Lisa's been working her tail off on this thing, so that's much appreciated. We received submissions from a number of submissions, around 10, 9, something like that, 10, 12. Very cool. Great quality poster art. I'm really excited about the quality of it. Pretty fun. I think it was cool. We ended up standardizing the size to an 18 by 24 just to kind of level the playing field and the medium as far as it being a poster print. So it is currently those submitted, those sort of finalists and things are being reviewed by the organizers of the event, and they're going to come back with their verdict next week. And then we're going to go to print, and it should be pretty cool. It's nice to have the commission's involvement in it, and the new organizers of the event are pretty excited about it. She doesn't really know exactly how it has run in the past, so we have some locals to give her some heads or tails on it. But I'm not sure if there's any other particulars we need to go through at this point. But Rebekah, do you have any comments on it?
Only that I also saw the submissions and they're very impressive. I felt like watching the process, how they were submitted. I know that it seemed to go very smoothly, and I believe everyone that was involved is very pleased with the results. So,
Yes, Deb?
What was our budget for this, and how is that being allocated?
That's a very good question. We don't really. It's interesting. So it's more of a budget of hours. Like, we're not really putting forth any funds from the commission towards this. The posters are being paid for by the presenters of the event. We were more of a facilitator of kind of how to go about doing it, get some artists out there and have them submit their art, and sort of the backbone, the infrastructure of it. But haven't used any budget. We haven't confirmed. Ultimately, I need to get with the gal over at the growers or the vintners or whoever.
Sonoma Valley Vintners and Growers.
Yeah,
Robin.
vintners and
Alliance.
growers, not growers and vintners. Sorry, my mistake. To see what the budget is. It depends. Once we have heads or tails on the final piece of art, I think we can see whether or not it lends itself to a proper, 4-color screen print, or if it's going to be more of a glisse style print, like a 4-color digital print. We'll see. We'll see what we need to do. We'll also see what kind of budget she's got, and that'll determine the paper and all of those type of things. But we've discussed these things, and I think they have budget allocated towards it, but I'm not sure exactly.
They being the Vintners and Growers, the cost to the city is staff time in putting in the hours, creating, doing the promotion, that type of thing. The Vintners and Growers actually will sell those posters. It's at their cost that those are printed, and it's basically staff time.
And then my comments would be the way that the art was given to us as the ad hoc committee was in a PowerPoint presentation. And there was very limited information about how the piece was created, whether it was oil or palette knife or a computer-aided design or what have you. We really just saw the image in a PowerPoint presentation, and based on the visual and the aesthetics, we were asked to boil down the large group to a top 3. And that top 3 was delivered through a scoring system that awarded 3 levels, 5 points, 3 points, and 1 point. The ad hoc committee each voted on their favorites, and city staff tabulated the results and took that larger number of, I think, 9 to 3, and then those 3 were submitted to the Growers and Vintners Alliance. I think that's pretty much how the process went. We didn't get to see the pieces in real life. It was just through a PowerPoint. And Ryan, how did that work for you?
I thought it worked all right. I think it would make sense possibly for next year to have a little descriptor of exactly the medium used. Looking at them, it looks like these were pretty much all digital generated. Like these are typical poster art. I'm not sure if there were any physical,
There was
pieces.
no physical artwork submitted. It was requested that
photo.
it be, yeah.
It was all
I
digital.
don't know if they were photographed or if it was a digital image created, on computer. The other issue that I had was one or more of the applicants presented in a landscape form where the majority were in portrait. And we never really talked about that, but for a poster, it's usually a portrait, and in this case, landscape could have been used also, and that really didn't bother me one way or the other.
We'd specified that it was supposed to be a portrait orientation
Oh, did we?
in the piece of art,
Okay.
just again to keep it as level as a playing field as possible, and it is. That said, it's not a deal breaker. We have posters can be printed in a landscape format. It's not the end of the world, but I think it was smooth. We could probably refine some of the verbiage and kind of the submission stuff, but I think by and large seemed to be successful. We'll see what art they come back with, and then hopefully we can get a good product out there. But they look cool.
Yeah, and I think with 9 submittals, that was a nice number. We didn't really want 90. That would have been really hard to boil that down to 3.
I was wondering. I was like, all right, we're throwing an art at this,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have.
And with digital imagery, one artist could create, 100. So I think we did
Mid-journey
limit
for a weekend
each
and-
submittal to each artist to 1 submission. But it could grow into an unmanageable amount of poster submissions. And maybe we just got lucky. But I think if we did a big outreach, we would have had an order of magnitude more. And then that could have created, a bit of a problem.
This was a funny question that had come up. I do a bunch of design myself. My wife was like, why don't you put your hat in? I was just like, I think that's a conflict of interest. I don't know if I can do that. But, I would imagine I'm not allowed to submit something for our own award.
Okay.
I think it would probably be for bias reasons.
That certainly could be. Cool. Well,
So, as
I guess
Ryan-
we'll learn more next week.
Yeah, so the next step is the Growers and Vintners Alliance will review the submittals and they'll make a determination because ultimately they are bankrolling this vintage festival. And they need to have, the final say. It's their show.
Yeah, I guess for just as a kind of a to-do point would be after this thing's printed and after this thing, we should do kind of a postmortem on the project, how it went, how the submission goes. Let's get some input from Lisa about setting up the thing so we can iron out as much as possible and make it even smoother next year. It'll be less of a hustle, and I think that'd be smart. I don't know if we can, since we still have the ad hoc committee, we can probably just handle it through that and present our findings.
Maybe we should, a follow-up meeting after the event with the ad hoc committee, and then we'll bring that forward, agendized.
Yeah, perhaps we
to,
can put an agenda item for November to talk about that.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have any questions about the festival contest or the poster contest or the explanation you heard today? Any comments from the public or through city staff? Okay. Well, that's great. So we'll jump to item 3, which is commissioners' reports and comments. And at this point, we just open the floor and see if anyone has any comments about what we did today or future agendas.
I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Betty Ann Bruno,
Oh,
our treasure artist for a couple years back, and a treasure indeed for the city of Sonoma and throughout the Bay Area. And she passed away a couple weeks ago, and we haven't had a meeting since then. So I just
Right.
wanted to put on the record our condolences and our great esteem for Betty Ann Bruno, spectacular artist.
so does everyone know Betty Ann Bruno's history. So she is a local Sonoma resident and is most famous for being a hula dancer, and she taught hula to women in town for 20 years or more. Before that, she was a newscaster, and before that, she was apparently in the CIA or something, I read. So she was also the oldest living munchkin that was in The Wizard of Oz. Yes. Okay. So she's well loved, and it was a shock. And Craig, her husband, has, written some wonderful pieces on his Facebook page, and it just, it is. She was a treasure. She danced her signature hula on the day she passed, and maybe that's just a wonderful way to, in a parting tribute to everyone. So I loved her. I worked with her for 10 years. It was really tough to hear that news.
Just a follow-up to that, just so you're aware, the city council did dedicate the meeting to Betty Ann. That was the same day that we found out. I'm starting to remember what day it was. If it was the July 19th or was it August 2nd? Whatever, that meeting, the council did dedicate that meeting to Betty Ann. And so a letter goes out to the family letting them know.
Yeah, cool. That's nice. Thank you. Comments, Dustin?
Chair Hagstrom, are you able to speak to, there was some government funding that was able to come in are you at a point that we could discuss that?
So,
And if this isn't the proper time, that's fine.
yeah, we're going to stick with items on the agenda, and I think that would be an item that we'll discuss in future meetings. Okay. Yes, Connie?
Good news, the art walk is going to start again. We have a ragtag group of people that have been meeting, and the Sonoma Community Center has decided to own that and take the reins of it, along with the Arts Guild, the Sonoma Valley Museum of Art, the Chamber of Commerce. I represented the Cultural and Fine Arts in the ragtag group. And it's going to have a soft opening at the Sonoma Community Center on September 7th, I believe at 5 p.m. The only reason we were going to start in October, first Thursdays in October, but our mayor can't be there, so we decided she deserves a victory lap, and so we'll do a soft opening while she can be here, which is in September, the first Thursday. So you're all invited, invite everyone. There'll be a little ribbon cutting, I think, and we're meeting tomorrow about it to get more details. But we've been working on it. We've been working on it about 6 months, but the businesses weren't ready. And the other thought and the other thing you need to know is that there's a lot of outreach to go beyond the plaza to the Springs area, different arts districts. So many cities have an art night that are big cities that have different cultural districts, and we think that could work. We're also calling it an arts night, and we realize there may be some permitting and checking on things with performing arts on a sidewalk or something like that. So, but we eventually would love to see all of the arts involved, and it be a unifying event in the city. So that's, I should be able to give you more about that later, but that's about to happen. The other thing that's really exciting is that the school district visual and performing arts teachers, as well as some key elementary teachers who believe in the arts, like Morgan, have been working. We received a grant from Creative Sonoma. We were one of 3 school districts in the county to receive a grant to do a strategic arts education plan. And we're moving it along. We had one school board member who joined us, and we will be meeting, a few of us will be meeting next week with the new school superintendent, who's very arts positive. So that will have an effect on our community. We're really focused right now on elementary, improving elementary music, art, theater, and dance. But it'll take a while because the state has had some challenges with Prop 13 really destroying that for 45 years. The university programs, a lot of kids don't go into teaching art because there weren't jobs. So Prop 28 has come along. The school district is getting $500,000 every year forever. It's in the state constitution for arts education. So we're Creative Bridges, an alliance of 40 organizations in town, is working with the school district to help them prioritize how the spending will be done and to empower the VAPA, the visual and performing arts, and elementary teachers to take the lead to control how that money is spent strategically. So that's really a big deal. And the other thing that's really exciting is last spring, I believe, a number of us, Meredith, I think you were in the group with Creative Sonoma when they came in to talk about the Public Art Master Plan. Creative Sonoma hired a agency to really look at creating a county public art master plan. They now have it in draft form. I've sent it to Rebekah. It is due to be commented on the 18th of August. It's really pretty exciting. I have just glanced over it, but it will start to look at the county and possibly bring in money for different types of public art and prioritize it for the creative economy. So that's something that's really pretty exciting. And then some of you may not know, but a group of us a while ago, including Meredith, we did a presentation to the City Council, and I'd like to someday talk with you guys and share a bit more. This is just a quick update, but February 2022 was actually the first time I met Sandra on Zoom, and we presented the idea of a cultural plan for Sonoma Valley, which is a public art master plan, but also a thought about rebranding the valley as an arts community, as arts and culture community. So I'll be sharing that presentation with you. Unfortunately, that night that we presented, we lost our city manager that night, and so we stalled on the whole initiative and moved forward with a strategic arts education plan instead. We had a group that was working on both, and we decided there was more of a green light with that. So sorry to take too much of your time, but that's a lot of positive things really brewing. Yeah, and I met with David Guin, the city manager, last week, all in. Super excited about the ideas, both the strategic arts education plan and the public art ideas, and had it was a 30-minute meeting, and I spent 2 hours with him. It was really exciting. So good things are happening.
And any other comments? I'll just add one. This Friday is like Ada Limon Day. And so
yeah.
there is a public event at Reader's Books at, I think, 9 o'clock.
9 a.m.
Yeah. And then there's a private event later. But the public event at Reader's is to do a book signing and also a bench ceremony. So that's happening. And I think that's just fantastic because she ought to be recognized by the city because she is our poet laureate. So congratulations to Ada, and if anyone can come out to recognize her contributions this Friday at 9 a.m. at Reader's Books. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments? And I'll ask city staff, any comments?
Just a couple. First, yes, Friday is the bench dedication for Ada Limon, U.S. Poet Laureate, first one to be that nominated or made the U.S. Poet Laureate 2 times. So that's even a bigger distinction. We're excited to be able to celebrate her on Friday. The other item is thank you to the members of the commission, but especially to those who were involved in the ad hocs. There was a lot of work done. It was great seeing all the pieces that resulted from that. And for myself, especially, the reception with the artists was it was a pleasure being able to be part of that. If you haven't looked at the augmented art, look at all of it, but if you haven't looked at this first panel, use your cell phone. It's augmented artwork. It comes alive through the app. It's incredible, as all of it is. So something to look at. There's a code that you can scan to download the app. The last piece is I wanted to introduce the commission to Sarah Tracy. She is our PIO for the city, our Public Information Officer, and she's going to be taking a larger role in this commission. You're going to see less of me and more of Sarah, and that'll be starting. We'll be working together for a few meetings, and then I'll be less here than Sarah will be the staff person, the main staff person. I'm not leaving, I'm still here, but just moving on to taking on more of all the commissions as a whole. So that being said, Sarah, do you want to say anything tonight, or do you want to just wait till, just kind of give a little background?
I don't shy away from a microphone if I can help it. Just kidding. Hello. Nice to meet you all formally, although I know many of you from other parts of life. So I am Sarah Tracy. I've worked with the city for about 5 years. I've been in a part-time capacity as the city's public information officer. I'm also a management analyst, so I work under the city manager and have a number of other duties and projects as well. But just my personal background is I come from a line of artists, so I'm very pleased to be part of the group, and my bachelor's degree is in art history, so I have like a little thread, just like a little bit of an appreciation for there. So when this opportunity came, I was very excited about it, and I do have a little bit of a learning curve as I haven't run city meetings on my own, certainly. So I thank you all in advance for giving me the opportunity and working with me, and I've been following, of course, and Rebekah's just over the cubicle, so I can call upon her anytime. And happy to answer any questions if you have any right away, but my contact information is all over that website, so feel free to contact me separately. Yes, Connie?
Okay, welcome.
I'd also like to say I worked with Sarah in Hearts of Sonoma, and she was amazing. During the pandemic, Kathy Capriola, our last city manager, was going in and looking at the plaza. No one was down there just as the pandemic hit, and it was pretty depressing. And she got a group of us just together and said, hey, could we do? And we started to brainstorm and thought about big hearts on the plaza and different things, but we were all too scared to go out. And, it was quite a challenge, but Sarah really helped us make that happen. And it was a pleasure to work with you at that time.
Yes, thank you. I apparently have blocked the early part of the pandemic out of my mind finally. Yes, it was the Sonoma Valley Arts Task Force is what we ended up calling the group. We still have the information on our website if you're curious, but I'd love to take credit for that. I can't. It was a group of incredible people from the whole valley, and we were all at home, so everybody had lots of time to brainstorm. So we did do the Hearts on the Plaza, which many of you hopefully saw, where we had artists paint or decorate or do whatever they would like to, the heart forms, and then they were installed on the plaza for all to enjoy. And then also there was the Summer Art Stroll, which was one of the first kind of events trying to get through the valley where folks were able to see art and get out of their house in a safe way, which was, as you know, quite challenging at that time. So it was quite a production, and there's still evidence of it up there. So thank you for reminding me of that. I appreciate it.
That's all the comments I have.
Okay, and thank you, Rebekah, for your years of service and having to reinvent the wheel with each new commissioner and each new chair. And I really depend on you and your eye contact and body language of setting me straight. it's been a real pleasure working with you, and I'm sure you're not going away too far.
I'm not going yet. It's
Okay.
going to take, we're going to be here for a few more meetings.
Okay.
Just so Sarah can get her, her feet into this, because as you said, I've been doing this now for 7 years, so. But then you'll also see a new face clerking the meetings. My deputy, Monique Sauvier, will be clerking the meetings with
Okay.
Sarah. And I'll still be coming.
You'll still have the title of hardest working person in Sonoma. Okay. Any other comments? And I suppose not. So I think at 7:15 we will gavel the end. Thank you.